You're good to go, Madam Chairman.
Great. Thank you so much, Monty. Good evening. I would like to call to order the Town of Rockport Board of Selectmen's meeting for Tuesday, June 27th, 2023. The time is 6:04 p.m. Good evening, everyone. It's nice to see such a crowd tonight. First on our agenda, we have public comment. And just so everyone knows, there will be another public comment at the end of the meeting as well. So if you would like to make a public comment, just raise your hand or use the hand raise signal, and Monty will calling you. Anyone? I see a few hands up. Terry, I see, I'm sorry, Monty, I see Barbara Kaplan, Dr. Teresa Rizzolo.
Barbara, you can unmute it.
I can unmute. Thank you. Yes, am I unmuted?
Yes.
You are. Go ahead.
Barbara Kaplan, 4 Ocean Avenue. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening, and good evening. I've been coming to most of the select board meetings for the last 6 months, and as you know, I've always been bringing up about ARPA funds because we know it's allowable to allocate ARPA funds to affordable housing. Other towns have done so. Gloucester got much more as a big city, allocated 22 million. So, and we know Rockport needs to develop affordable housing. It's not the whim of a few people, because at the moment we're at 4.6 when Granite Crossing is done, but we need, the state wants us to be at 10%. So it's a given that we have to get moving on this. And after many months, we were told a survey would be produced, which it was last Monday night or afternoon, and it was posted on the website. The huge disappointment was there was no checkbox for affordable housing. There was a second checkbox that combined nonprofits and housing in general muddled together. There fortunately was a write-in box so people in the know about ARPA funds and affordable housing could express their views there. But what about just a person in Rockport who doesn't know much about affordable housing and the need we have to get going on it, or maybe nothing or anything about ARPA funds? How are they going to connect without a checkbox? Oh, so that was extremely disappointing. Also, it was stated, Ms. Wilkinson, I believe by you, that once the survey came out, it would be on social media. I've checked every day, it is not there. It was also stated that there would be copies, paper copies, for those who aren't computer savvy at the town hall. I went to town hall yesterday because an elderly neighbor was asking me about that. I keep her posted on everything. This lovely secretary knew nothing about it, walked, I believe, into your office, Mr. Fiera, and it took a few minutes for her to come back. So I only noted that because I had to rush to an
because we
appointment.
had to print some more. The ones that were on the bench outside were all picked up apparently.
Oh, well,
And you were handed a copy as you walked out.
okay, so you print, yeah,
Yep.
so you printed it. I was
So
wondering,
they were all taken
hoping
before
that
you
there
got
was
here.
some, but the town clerk didn't know anything about it when I went to that place before I came to you. So I was just hoping that you know, didn't just print it because I asked for it. I would expect a stack to be at the town clerk so that people coming in and out of the office could fill it. And I would expect on the website, after explaining about ARPA, you to say you can also pick up a paper copy at town hall to fill out. So anyway, that is basically it. A colleague of mine at the Rockport Affordable Housing Coalition asked you, Mr. Vieira, to please meet about the survey as soon as it came out because of our issues with it. So there was no meeting and you didn't even answer her. So that was that. So
once the survey is created, it's created. I can't go back in and alter it. We've released it.
I understand that, but it's just a matter of responding to her and saying
Thank you.
Okay. And then, so I have 3 asks. We would like it to get on social media, since that you stated that. I would like to see a stack of copies by the town clerk. Doesn't have to be big. Probably many people aren't going in there. And when the results of the survey come out, we would like to see them published, including the box of write-in, so that everybody in town can know the results. And it will reflect, your decisions will reflect those results. And thank you very much for this opportunity to speak.
Great. I will say that I'm a little bit behind this week with my weekly update on social media. I had some personal stuff going on, but before the end of the week, I'll do my kind of weekly update and I'll share it there. So it will be getting out on social media before the
Madam
end.
Chair, if I may comment on
Sure.
that real quick.
Yeah.
I was gonna share it early in the week, when it did first come out, but one of the first response we got
Yeah.
before it was even on social media was to please keep it within Rockport and don't put it on the web where outsiders can answer those questions. So that's why I decided not to post it on Rockport stuff and other social media pages, because that does influence the results from people living in Rockport and Beverly that join those pagers that want to comment on certain things. So that's why I held back, but I do understand the want for the social media push. But I just want to make that clear that one of the first response we got in the box there was to make sure try to keep it within Rockport only.
Yeah, and I will also comment, just Barbara, on one of the things that you said. Are what we end up doing with the funds is it's actually up to the Board of Selectmen. Just so I want everyone to not be under the expectation that, you know, for example, if there's $100,000 that we follow the results of the survey accordingly. I will tell you, I think the survey, I haven't seen any of the results yet because we don't even see them until it's over, but I think the town administrator can tell us how many we have so far, but I think it's very well answered. But I will tell you that whenever we post something like this, a lot of the results are spam and are actually vile, to be perfectly honest. So I think we will certainly find a way to appropriately release the results, but I just don't want people to be under the impression that if 98% of the, you know, of the people that answer the survey say, you know, to build a cement parking garage in the middle of town, that we are going to build a parking garage in the middle of town. It is up to us, but of course, like with anything in town, we do of course take the input of the residents seriously. Mitch, can you just tell us how many we have or like had at one point? Do you have any idea?
There's currently 206 responses.
Great. Cool. So we're off to a good start, which is great. Okay. Monty, all you.
Teresa, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. I sent a series of questions to the Board of Selectmen, and I had spoken to Ross Brackett about it prior to
Teresa,
doing
can we get
that.
your name and address for the record?
I'm sorry.
Can we get your name and address for the record?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Terry Rosallo 4 Summit in Rockport. I had sent a series of questions that I was requesting be put on the agenda for the selectmen, and Sarah graciously responded to my email, but my point was not so much to have one person answer, but to have a series of discussions with regard to issues that are of concern to me and to several other people. My questions related to the issue of the Long Beach property and Long Beach leases, and several of my questions were directed toward asking for more clarity and more transparency from the Board of Selectmen. Very specifically, and Sarah responded to this, and I'm hoping that she shared the email with you. I think I sent it to all of the selectmen, but that, you know, there's, I think, a great need for transparency and a understanding for us as townspeople if there are any conflicts of interest on a personal, professional, or financial basis for any of the selectmen. And by that I meant very specifically, do any of you manage properties for the lessees? Do you own a house as an individual, as part of your family trust, as an LLC, or have a family member who is one of the people who leases the properties? Or do you consult with any of the lessees in any capacity? I think that given that this property is probably one of the biggest financial issues for the town, and that the desire to have everything up front and to have any conflicts of interest to be known by all of us is very important, and speaks very highly about whether or not things are being done ethically and with everything above board. In addition to that, I asked that the information about our current law firm that is handling the lease. And Sarah directed me to look at the website for the firm, and from anything I gathered there, it still didn't answer my question, which is this kind of land is very, very specific in terms of the need for land management of coastal waterways and sea coasts and issues protecting the rights for public rights of way. And we've already had 2 instances in town where the town did not end up in a very good position along the Atlantic Path. And at least from my reading of the current lease, the town is in jeopardy for the properties if there is a catastrophic failure of that wall. And again, the protection of the idea that, well, only if we are neglectful will we be held liable. We already know that people are pretty litigious. And I really would like to know that the law firm is not just the house counsel, but that really maybe we need counsel that is specifically have the expertise that is very unique in this environment. So I request that the board consider those and that we have those as an agenda item that will be published so that other people will be aware of that, and that we can have those questions responded to in a timely manner. Thank you.
Sure. So Dr. Rizzolo, just to clarify, I received your email, obviously, and
Yes.
I took time to answer all. I'd be happy to read the entire email, which maybe actually the beginning I should read because I think it's helpful and it probably explains the situation. So I wrote, "Dear Dr. Rizzolo, thank you for your email to the Board of Selectmen." I wrote, "It is so unfortunate that you did not attend our last meeting as I provided an extended update on the Long Beach lease situation. Those in attendance found it very helpful. I would recommend that you watch the recording of our meeting, which can be found here on the town website with a link. And then all town meetings are posted here usually within a few days of the meeting occurring. As most of the items on your list are actually questions and not appropriate agenda items, I'm happy to answer them below or explain how the board can address them." And then I went through and I answered each question. For example, who do we use for town council? I explained who we used. I sent you to their website. And then the one that I did say was appropriate for you to ask at a meeting was the conflict of interest. And I wrote, "The most appropriate time to ask this is during one of the public comment portions of our meeting. There is one at the beginning and end of each meeting. If you attend and ask the questions, I will make sure that each board member has ample time to answer them if they choose to do so personally." So I think at this point, it's totally appropriate. We can ask each board member if they'd like to answer about the conflicts of interest. I also think it's helpful to remind people that obviously we follow, we do our best to follow the Massachusetts, the open meeting law, the ethics laws, and several of us, it's a personal thing, but when we do have a conflict, we file a disclosure with the town clerk. Over the years, I've filed several. Sometimes you go in and update them. And so typically, like if someone is curious on a topic, if one of us does have a personal financial interest, you can always go check with the town clerk's office. They can pull our folder. But I do think it's totally appropriate to ask that. And I would love to, if people would like to answer the question, I'm happy to give them time to do so. Anyone want, Mrs. Selectman Murphy?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I have zero conflicts with Long Beach. I never have. In fact, when I ran for Board of Selectmen, that was one of the items that I brought up, that I do not have conflicts with town employees, working family members, things of that nature. In terms of the Copeland and Page, they are an outstanding law firm, one of the top municipal law firms in the Commonwealth, and they have a tremendous amount of resources. So I'm very confident in that our law firm helping us with the leases. So, but to answer Terry's question, I do not have any conflicts.
Great. Selectwoman Donnelly?
Yeah, hi. I have zero conflicts as well. No connections at all with anyone on Long Beach. Except for the Dairy Maid.
Selectman Lilia? Oh, I think you're muted. Oh,
Nope. One more time.
I think you both muted and unmuted at the same time. There you go. Nope, he's still muted, Monty.
Okay,
Oh, there you
Yes.
go.
we're unmuted now. No, excuse me, I have no conflicts. I do not own any property in Long Beach. I know no one who owns property in Long Beach. I feel quite comfortable in saying that my decisions will not be biased in any particular way.
Right. Selectman Brackett?
Yes, I have no conflicts, and as I've mentioned before, I see them just as any resident of Rockport, so I do have contact with them on a regular basis if they want to reach out with ask questions, as I do with all residents. That's the only connection I really have.
Great. And then I'll answer for myself. I do not have any conflicts either. I do have a property management business. I don't and have never managed any properties down in Long Beach. Own a house. I do live in the Long Beach neighborhood, which I've always disclosed, but we all live somewhere in town. But I have none of these. The answer to all of these is no for me. So thanks. And then the rest of your questions, I believe I answered. I don't, at our last meeting, I gave an extended update. I explained that we are working hard to get the lease completed. We last week, might have been 10 days ago, had a very long, several hour executive session. The goal, my kind of personal goal for the board is for us to finish our work on the lease and be able to release it to the public is this summer, August at the latest. I think it would be really nice to be done with it for the town and the residents and for the board. And I think that's it for now. What else?
JT, you've been unmuted.
Thank you. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. Yesterday afternoon, before the computer malfunctioned, I attended part of the Government and Bylaw Committee meeting. They were discussing Z. Cepala's petition article on the possible removal of public officials. That was referred to the Government and Bylaw Committee by a motion at town meeting offered by Pat Brown. And it was a proper motion in that it named a time certain they were to report back to the fall town meeting. Now it turns out that there will be, in effect, no report. The Government and Bylaw Committee, which had previously decided to recommend against Mr. Cepala's petition article, has decided that it is not in their purview or their charge to offer any improvements. So although Pat Brown's motion was in order, those who voted for it in good faith, thinking that they might be offered something that might or might not be an improvement, will find themselves disappointed. They will be offered the same petition article and presumably the same recommendations from the Government and Bylaw Committee. This may all be according to Hoyle and according to law, but it is not good government and it is not in good faith. The whole point of delaying it was possibly to get something better. or that presumably was the hope of Pat Brown when she offered it and the citizens voted for it. This ties back to my concerns last week, not last week, at your last meeting when I spoke about a possible lighting bylaw to deal with municipal and commercial uses, and was told by Denise Donnelly, write it yourself. As it turns out, the Government and Bylaw Committee is only responsible for reviewing the bylaws every 5 years. And beyond that, for making recommendations on citizens petition articles or any other articles that come before the town meeting relating to bylaws and the charter. They're not responsible for fixing anything else and have decided narrowly that that is not their concern. If it's not in the bylaws already, they're not going to come up with anything to help you. So the narrowest possible approach to their duties, and if you read what's in the Code of Bylaws now, they're justified. And it doesn't cover the field. And I'm asking you to get the Government and Bylaw Committee to one of your meetings along with the moderator and discuss the possibility of giving the Government and Bylaw Committee a new and extended charter. With the Planning Board, they are the guardians of the zoning bylaw, not the Board of Appeals, the Planning Board. And it's up to them to offer possible improvements. But it's not the same pattern for the Government and Bylaw Committee. If it isn't there and they decide it's defective, it's not their business. And you fall back on Denise Donnelly's unhelpful suggestion, go do it yourself. So my question is to you, are you willing to invite them in for a meeting, the Government and Bylaw Committee, along with the moderator, and discuss how we might come up with a better charge, more comprehensive for the Government and Bylaw Committee? I would like an answer, not now, but at your next meeting.
Okay, thank you, Toby.
Laura, you've been unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I'm Laura Evans, 77 High Street. And I wanted to support what Barbara Kaplan earlier said about disappointment in the ARPA fund survey. After a drum roll of about 6 months, there comes out a survey that has 4 check boxes on it and a comment field. And none of the check boxes said the words affordable housing in them. And so it's and it's due on Friday. It's due in 3 days. So I think if Ms. Wilkinson goes and posts it on social media at the end of the week, that's the day that it's due. So I think to get, you know, there are clearly ways where you could stop the responses from being vile, as Ms. Wilkinson said, by asking people to sign. I think a lot of people would be happy to sign and say what their opinions are, but the public needs background on what are the allowable buckets that the ARPA money can go into, the $2.1 million that we have. And one of those buckets is affordable housing, but none of that background was given on this survey. So it was disappointing, and I really look forward to being able to look at the results when we're ready for them, and when they're ready, when they're due. And secondly, I was wondering about, I think I might have asked this before, about the personnel board in our town bylaws on page 20. The personnel board is described, and yet we don't have a personnel board that I think would really help a lot of us volunteers and employees in town to be able to appeal to a board of our peers, whenever there's an issue, and not incur any kind of legal costs, but it's written into the bylaws for a reason. And I just wonder what the status of that is. And then the last question I have is the job of assistant town manager. When Mitch goes on vacation, who can stand in for him? I mean, we've always, we have an assistant librarian and, an assistant town manager. It's a position that's funded and hopefully will be advertised and filled, so Mitch gets some support in that regard. And the town mitigates its risk of, just having all our eggs in one basket. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
Sure.
Just for clarification, it's a town administrator, not a town manager, Laura. And the reason I say that, because there is a big difference between the two and the authority. So thank you for your comments.
Great. And one other clarification, if I didn't realize that the ARPA survey was supposed to end on Friday, if it gets posted in the next few days, we'll extend it. We won't, I'll absolutely not share it on social media the day it closes. So no worries, we can easily extend it longer. Okay, next, Monty.
Jared Roy, you've been unmuted.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Gerard Roy, I live on Main Street, Rockport, and I was just curious. I'm supporting both Barbara and Laura in the affordable housing situation. I was just curious: is it possible to distribute the survey on the emergency contact website that the town has for snow emergencies and no parking during the winter? And is that still operable? Number one, and number two, is it possible to update the survey if you're going to extend it from this Friday to add on various subjects like schools, infrastructure, affordable housing, so that people have something to choose from, and what that falls in line with what the priorities are for the town and for the selectmen in the town to give a little help to the community, to help them make a decision. And I also want to say, I think this is a prime time for affordable housing in the state and the country and in the community, because of our governor that's putting a lot of programs in effect. I'm sure you all heard of the $50 million green bank that would serve as a really good leverage for additional funding for affordable housing, as well as this any funds from what I'm calling the COVID funds, the ARPA monies that would leverage private monies, other private monies for either new construction or rehab renovation of dwellings for affordable housing. And also, finally, I guess I'm curious, given the shock on affordable housing, what the select person's stance is on affordable housing. Because I mean, there's no sense all these people that are on the Affordable Housing Committee and other committees, this other committee that was formed by the selectmen for putting this energy into affordable housing, if the select people presently in existence with the town are not favorable for affordable housing. It's wasting a lot of energy for a lot of people that are very devoted to affordable housing. And that's all I'm going to say. Thank you very much, Ms. Wilkinson.
Great, thanks. Just to answer a couple of your questions quickly, I think I don't believe you were at our last meeting, but we were all, I would say, very adamant that we are extremely supportive of affordable housing. 3 out of the 5 selectmen right now are working on separate different affordable housing projects. And I think it's fair to say that we all have the same goal. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouths, but of increasing affordable housing in town. So if you'd like more detail, you're welcome to watch our last recording or the last several recordings. You're also welcome to reach out to any of us individually. And just to answer a few of your questions, we can't change the survey because we already have 200 responses. And the survey was crafted because while the handful of people here are saying there should have been a specific checkbox for affordable housing, we received lots of feedback that there should have been lots of other very specific checkboxes. So we want to get as much feedback as possible. And most people I know who have taken the time to answer it have, know about ARPA funds, or it's pretty easy to look up what they're, but if we were to be very specific and list every single organization, every single use, I think that kind of defeats the purpose. You know, we're trying to get general ideas of what the townspeople support. And I'm hopeful that overall the responses will do that. The other thing is we've discussed, and I'll follow up with the town administrator, we can't use the emergency code red system because we've made it very clear to the townspeople that that's going to just be used for specific emergencies, but that system does have an opt-in for, do you want to hear about non-emergency type things? And that just, I believe, is an email that can go out, and we discussed sending this out that way. So I will follow up, and if that's a possibility, we will do that in the next day or so as well, if it hasn't already happened. So thank you for your comments. Next. Oh, I think Selectman Lilia, did you want to make a comment on that as well?
Yes, I want to speak to my own personal conviction with regard to affordable housing. I hope that my brethren, two in particular, are as supportive of affordable housing as I am. That has not always been clear. I would say to anyone in the town of Rockport, if you are in favor of affordable housing, then go to the CPC. Get the CPC to support affordable housing. My experience with the CPC of late, based on a situation over which I, as the chairman of the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust Fund, had nothing to do with the lateness of that application. That should be overlooked by the CPC, should have been reconsidered last week, should be reconsidered in the future. And if there is conviction in town for affordable housing, then go to the CPC, lay it at their door, tell them that they are the ones who have immediate funds that could be used for affordable housing. Therein lies the beginning of all of this. Thank you.
I would just add that, oh, go ahead, Ross.
I just want to make sure it's clear that the public does know that the CPC has already given roughly 2.4 or around that range of money to affordable housing. It may have not have been to the committee that Selectman Lilia chairs, but they have given money to affordable housing in Rockport. I just want to make sure that's clear.
I need to respond. That is not affordable housing in the nature of what is needed in town. It is not housing for new families. It's not housing for young people. All of the money that's been given in town is for people who are retired or who are elderly or who are extremely short on finances. There is a distinct difference between what has been financed to this point in time by CPC and what should be financed in the future. So don't confuse the two. Please don't.
Selectman Lilia, unfortunately, I have to agree with Selectman Brackett. CPC has been more than supportive of affordable housing. They follow the rules. Your proposal had nothing to do with the subject. It was following the rules of CPC, which we could argue and debate about, but I think it's clear CPC has given thousands and thousands of dollars to action for rent assistance during COVID, during regular times. Their support of CPC, of affordable housing, they have, I believe, supported almost, if not every affordable housing proposal that has been made over the last several years, at least since I've been on the Board of Selectmen. And that has touched people of all ages, of all backgrounds, and all types of situations. Go ahead. Did you want to make one more comment?
Well, that's not true. It simply is not true. The affordable housing, the housing that has been provided to people in town is for those who are in their retirement phase.
No,
You
it's
have not provided, wait, please. You have not provided any housing for young marrieds. There has not been an effort to try to develop land associated with small housings as starter homes. It's not true that all aspects of affordable housing by state guidelines have been supported by CPC. And CPC's guidelines, and if I want to call a spade, between the individuals, the other individuals on the Board of Selectmen who are supposedly supporting affordable housing, it is that part of the Board of Selectmen which has frustrated the application that went to CPC. That is not, if in fact the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust had been activated in a timely fashion, there wouldn't be this question about a late application. And to say that that application or the receipt of that application is the crux of the problem is overstating or missing the point. The point is we need affordable housing and the funds sit with the CPC. And for the CPC to sit on funds to the end of the year and to laud themselves with regard to the fact that they have funds available and not use them is a crime. It's a sin. It isn't for the benefit of Rockport.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Sure.
I just want to say, regardless of the late timing of the application or not, the application itself was incomplete as far as I'm concerned. And the committee, as of now, regardless of when we started it, at the state it's in now, still doesn't have a vision or a route they want to go. They were asking for $500,000 to put into a fund. That's it. So that money would be sitting there for another year, probably until they figure out what they'd wanted to do. So to continue to attack the CPC for an application that the committee didn't even know was being submitted by the chairman until after it was submitted. And then the fact that it was late, that's what all the questions were asked at the meeting at CPC, so people can go to that. And I encourage them to go to the Rockport Affordable Housing meetings as well and ask questions, as I've asked, what is their vision? And I've gotten an answer different from each member. So that's where I stand. And I mean, I don't want to prolong this any longer, but
Right.
I'm done on the matter.
And right. Thank you,
agree.
Ross.
I
think
want
it's
a
important.
final comment. I want a final comment because the distinction that you draw between the Conservation Commission and the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust is an artificial distinction. The Conservation Commission receives funds to be unspent for any specified period of time until they amass an amount of money that can be used to purchase a lot. That is the same kind of situation that the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust finds itself in. Whether everything that we would like to do in the future has been defined in our plan is totally immaterial, because the $500,000 that in fact would be transferred to a fund for the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust Fund would be the start of an accumulation of money that would then enable us to do it. You don't question the Conservation Commission. Why do you question affordable housing and try to put an endpoint to affordable housing, but conservation can go on as if there's some sort of blind reasoning there or completely understood reasoning, when in fact there is no project in mind when you in fact give money to the Conservation Commission.
Herm, we need to end this and move on, but this is so sad, and you're arguing and being argumentative and blaming the CPC, blaming other members of the Board of Selectmen. Frankly, this is a big reason why we aren't further along with affordable housing. It's the reason why two of us, please let me finish. It's the reason why two of us have broken off and started a separate land trust, because frankly, let me finish, the only way affordable housing, besides the projects that are already happening, and there are 6 family units in the Granite Street project. I toured it. It's beautiful. Those are for families to move here and be here. But the only way real affordable housing is going to happen is if we stop arguing and work together to make it happen. It's not a competition. We just want to see families who work here, who want to live here, who want to send their kids to school here. And blaming CPC, blaming other members of the Board of Selectmen is not going to help us towards that goal. So I encourage anyone who's interested to reach out to any of us individually to see what we're personally doing, what our beliefs are. The struggle is real. I hate to say it, but the struggle is real. But I think the beauty of it is CPC has a lot of money. Over the years, they have proved that they are adamantly in support of affordable housing and all of the different projects they support. And personally, I look forward to working with them going forward to get funding.
Your words are wonderful, and they always are. And they always gloss over what in fact are the failings. And to say that either you or Denise did not frustrate the start of the beginning of the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust Fund is to deny what actually happened. And you were pressured by social media to take a vote 2 weeks later. Don't do that, because you were. You were pressured by social media to take a vote 2 weeks later and to activate the Rockport Affordable Housing Trust Fund after 2 weeks before you had voted it down. So please don't let your words, I won't let your words mask over the fact that neither you nor Denise were in favor of a Rockport Affordable Housing Trust Fund as was instituted by the town at town vote in 2017 and only activated now in February of 2023.
Herm, I'm just going to make one more comment, then we need to move on. I've been on the Board of Selectmen for, I think, 17 years. Social media has never, ever, has no one else has ever influenced a vote or any action I've taken. And I can honestly say that. And I actually am offended that you would think that. I'm actually not even sure why you would think that, since you're not even on social media. But we should take this for, as always, I would love to sit down again and have coffee over this, or anyone can reach out to me. I've had a lot of affordable housing coffees lately, and we're making good progress. So I look forward to keep working. Let's move on because we have a big agenda tonight. Is it Mr. Sharfstein, Jerry?
Jerry Sharfstein.
Jerry.
Hi, Jerry Sharfstein, 2A Twin Lights Circle. I'd like to acknowledge and thank Select Person Brackett for participating in a school committee meeting around a month and a half ago and listening to some Rockport students speaking about solar panels. And I am looking forward to listening to them this evening. So Ross, I want to thank you for following through and extending an invite to these students.
Thanks so much. We're excited to have them. They're getting to see like small town democracy in action tonight, right?
Government at its purest.
Anyone else for public comment? Great. I thought since we do have some students joining us this evening, I was wondering if anyone would object if we moved them to the beginning and then did the two interviews. Is everyone okay with that? Okay, Ross, do you want to give an intro to? Oh, hold on. We have one more. Oh, Carol's here. Does Carol have to go? Okay. Oh, so why don't we, and Ron is here as well. Why don't we do Carol's interview and then, Ron, do you want to wait till after the solar thing or you're okay? Okay. So let's do, Carol Chirico's, interview for Historic Commission, and then we'll jump to the solar. Is that okay? Great. Good evening, Carol.
Hi, I'm so sorry.
No
I would
worries.
have loved to have heard the students speak, but I need to run a niece to the airport.
All good.
So-
All good. We don't want her to miss her flight.
Exactly.
If you wouldn't mind just telling us, we all received the nice letter that you sent. If you could just tell us a little bit about your background and basically what leads you to want to give of your time.
Sure. So it's Carol Chirico. I live at 25 Dock Square, which most of you probably know as Four Chimneys, in the downtown historic district. I actually have a professional background in historic preservation. After college, I went to BU and got a master's degree in historic preservation planning and worked for the Boston Landmarks Commission for about 9 years. And the Boston Landmarks Commission includes all the sort of local historic district commissions like Back Bay and Beacon Hill and the South End. And so I'm pretty familiar with the concept of design review. During that time, I went to law school at night at Suffolk and went into private practice for a number of years in real estate law. And in the year 2000, I began working for the federal government for the General Services Administration. And I'm a real estate lawyer for the GSA. And one of my responsibilities is compliance with the National Historic Preservation Act. So although I'm still not directly in the preservation field, I do work on preservation matters all the time. My husband, Joe, and I moved to Rockport 2 years ago. We've had actually 2 hearings before the Historical Commission for 25 Dock Square, and we had great experiences both times. And most recently, I was involved with the UU on the application for solar panels on the Cleve Street side of the building. I didn't know what to expect going into the hearing. We'd spent a long time preparing. We made sure that our application met all of the criteria. And I have to say, the Historical Commission was fantastic. They listened to our arguments, understood that what we were proposing met the criteria, and approved the application. And so that, was just another positive experience with the Historical Commission. After that hearing, a vacancy arose, and several people reached out to me to see if I'd be interested in filling the position, and here I am.
Thank you so much. Questions from the board? Denise?
So thank you, Carol, for stepping up. I think you'll be a wonderful addition to the commission. And is there any particular project that you have some expertise on that you think that you might be a benefit to the board?
I think one of the things that I would love to see happen is to educate district residents on why these districts exist. It seems there's not a lot of information that's sort of readily accessible that says, that the Broadway district is significant for this reason, the Mount Pleasant district is significant for this reason. Here's some historical information about about the development of the district. These are important architectural types that you'll find in the district. So I feel like it would be great to educate the public so that folks understand in advance of submitting an application what is significant about their residence or the building that they own.
Wonderful.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. Denise, did you?
Yeah, I didn't have a question. I just wanted to comment that for such a small town, we are incredibly lucky for the concentration of talent that we have here. Your background is just perfect, Carol, and we're so grateful that you're stepping forward to volunteer. So thank you.
Thank you. I'm looking forward to it.
Second that.
Herm?
Carol, welcome. Your background certainly seems as if it would be an asset to the town. I'm glad to have you raise your hand and say that you're interested in the Historic Commission. A question with regard to one point that will continue to be a point of interest and concern to some. How do you feel about replacing the single pane glass with insulated glass, given the fact that we all need to save energy?
So those folks that are on the Historic Commission know that this is an issue we've dealt with personally. Our house was built in 1806. And when we got it, we had original windows. They were in horrible shape. And we initially, we sort of looked at all options, replacing with double pane windows versus restoring. And I felt that I didn't want to be the one who was going to, toss 26 200-year-old windows. Like it felt wrong. And so we looked at other options. And so what we've done is we have interior storms, and we had the windows restored by a company based in Hyde Park. And you're welcome to come by. I'll show you our windows. They're absolutely spectacular. You could never sort of get that same look, both the glass and the sort of detail, the very delicate muntins and that sort of thing. So we're super happy with our project. I think a single pane window with an interior storm is a great solution. It was a great solution for us. It's not going to be the perfect solution for everyone. And there are going to be situations where, historic windows do need to be replaced. And as you can tell by the fact that I was supporting the solar panel project on the UU, that I'm also super aware of environmental issues. And I think that the two can coexist.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Ross?
Thank you. Hello, Carol. Knowing the process and the criteria you need to meet for solar panels and the new technology coming in and they're readily available to get solar panels, do you think it's time for the historical committee to look at exempting solar panels in the historical districts? Or do you think it's still good to have it go through the application process, knowing that I think they're at 3 approved and 2 have been denied so far in historical districts?
I think it makes sense. I mean, we're such a small community. I think it makes sense to go through the application process. Some towns like P-Town have actually exempted solar as long as the application meets certain very strict criteria. Like you have to have a dark colored roof and the panels need to be all black, non-glare. So those are the kind of things that Rockport does look at and consider. But I think it makes sense to keep the applications, keep solar as part of the types of changes that we would review.
Thank you.
Great. That's so helpful. That was actually the question that I was interested in as well.
Yeah,
Any more questions from the board? Carol, do you have any questions for us?
I don't think so.
Great. Yeah, I think you're a perfect fit between your experience. You also coincidentally bought one of my favorite historic homes downtown. But I think you will be such an asset to the commission. And I can't thank you enough for stepping forward. And as Denise said, we are just so like the amount of skill and talent we have on our volunteer committees just continues to blow me away. So thank you so much for stepping up.
Sure.
Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chair, I move that the board appoint Carol Trico to the Historical Commission for a term to expire on June 30th, 2026, subject to the board committee's commissioned membership policies.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. The motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion by the board? Hearing none. Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectwoman Wilkinson. Aye. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you so much. Welcome to the commission.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank-
Nice to see you.
Thank you,
Safe,
Carol.
safe driving to the
Thanks.
airport.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Now, Ron, you sure you're okay if we do the solar? Okay, perfect. So we'll skip around a bit, do the student solar panels, and then we'll move on to Mr. Labar's interview. Ross,
You guys are talking about.
Ross, do you want to give?
Yeah, I
Hi,
can-
everybody. We'll let Ross give an introduction to how you ended up here, and then we'll let you go.
So it just happens to be that Selectwoman Wilkinson had to step out for one meeting, so I attended the school committee meeting for her. And it happened to be the meeting where they were presenting the solar panel project for the school. And I thought it would be interesting to have them come to us and, if we could have, further down the line a little bit, if we can help them push the project along and get the solar panels at the school. I know we had issues in the first time the project came around, but if we can see if there's anything different this round, we can get them going. And I think I'll let them introduce themselves. I do think Ken Park is missing. That was one of the other students, but I'll let the 3 ladies introduce themselves.
Great. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? You can just give us your names and what grade you're in, what grade you're going into. I won't make you say your addresses. And then why don't you tell us a little bit about your project?
Okay, I'm Rumi Quorum and I'm going into my freshman year. I'm Ava Mae Mears and I'm also a freshman. I'm Lucy Maywelski and I'm also going into freshman year. So this project, just a little history. Just recently, civics has become a required class for Massachusetts 8th graders to take. And as kind of like a final exam in that class, you have to do a CAP project, and that stands for civic action. So we thought that for our project, we could try to figure out a way to get our school to kind of embrace more environmental friendly energy options. So through some research and help from our teachers, we figured that solar panels would probably work best. So now here we are. We've continued doing research on solar panels and how to kind of move it along. But it really just started from a school project, but now the year's over. So we have kind of all taken it as like a personal project, and we really all feel passionate about this. And thank you for having us tonight. Yeah, thank you.
Great. So do you want to tell us a little bit about the do you have like about the project so far? Like what?
Yes, we
what
have
you've
a
done?
slide. Yeah, we have a slideshow prepared that would be, if that's okay, we could show to you. Yeah. Do I
Sure.
have permission to share my
Wonderful.
screen? Here, let me try to share screen. Where is it?
These kids are so technical.
No, they're better. They're like better and quicker than we are.
Hands down, hands down.
Okay, so can everyone see this? Did I do it right?
Yeah,
Okay,
you did.
awesome. Okay, okay. So hello, we are rising freshmen who graduated from Rockport schools, and we are also grateful for this opportunity and thank you all so much. And Lucy May, take it away. Can I move it? Okay.
So just for some background information, our mission is to decrease the amount of CO2 produced by installing solar panels at the Rockport School District. Though this began as a school project, we quickly realized that this was a much more personal matter because the environment and its rapidly declining health is a matter that's greatly important to us, especially because we live in a coastal community, and we are happy and willing to fight for this, no matter how long it takes and how hard it is. So.
Okay, our progress so far. So like I mentioned, we started in civics class, but bringing it out to the community, on May 3rd, we went to a school committee meeting and presented to them. And then on May 16th, we met with Mr. Sharfstein and other members of the Unitarian Universalist Society of Rockport, and they provided us with a huge amount of support and guidance. And just a few days ago, we joined a Zoom meeting with the Interfaith Climate Justice Group and presented our work so far. Once again, we received support and ideas to promote our work. Right now, we're working on drafting an article to the Gloucester Daily Times so we can get a greater area of interaction, and also writing an article to the Cape Ann Climate Coalition monthly newsletter. And we created an Instagram account to hopefully reach some of our age audience so that we can publish our work and keep the community updated and informed about upcoming events and just information about solar panels and renewable energy.
Okay, so these are our plans for the future. So I think a big step would be getting an estimate for the cost and the installation and how that would work. And then, so that's definitely our main goal. And then we're going to promote it more via social media just to get the word out. So people know what's going on and they can be filled in on if there's being something posted or there's another meeting, maybe they can sit in on. We would like to contact publishers to help our work gain recognition. So that's why we're writing to the Gloucester Daily Times, Cape Ann Climate Coalition newsletter. And we are going to just try and find other people that might be helpful or know something about how to get this project happening.
Okay, so some other research that we did. Hampshire College is in Western Mass, and they use electricity generated from solar panels at the R.W. Kern Center, which is this picture here, and that is an all-electric building. And then Hampshire College also uses a solar canopy, the Hampshire College Farm, and 19 acres of solar fields. And then they have another building called the Hitchcock Center for the Environment, and that's another all-electric building. They were the first school to go completely renewable. So there's also quite a few schools around us that have used some solar panels. So Swampscott, Medway, Joyce Middle School, Whitman Hanson, Natick, Taunton, and UMass Amherst and Boston University both signed this project and bill that they're going to try to commit fully to solar energy by 2040. So some bigger schools and universities are working to achieve this. And more locally, Manchester, Essex, as some of you may already know, they use solar panels. So, and then also how much energy we use and how much that costs. Our school uses 33% of the town's total energy, and that's a lot. That's a huge amount. And while we're using all that energy, we're contributing a lot of bad stuff into the air to our coastal community. And our school's budget isn't huge, and fuel takes a big portion of that. With solar energy, we can greatly cut that down. And then solar panel prediction, we got this graph that Rumi can tell you more about. Okay. So my stepdad, who was in charge of like figuring out the layout of for solar panels for my house personally, has helped us here by trying to like figure out about like how many solar panels the middle school would need. And this is how much that we could put on the middle school and high school, which is about enough to just power the middle school. And we can always start off with less. Like I know we already have one, or do more and power both schools, but this is just like a rough estimate and what it would look like, kind of.
Also, like getting our middle school completely 100% powered by solar panels is like a huge task. And we understand if that's like unattainable at the like 4 years that we have left at the school. But what we would really love to do is if we could just start off by getting the hot water powered by solar panels. I think that would like help greatly and cut our cost by a lot. So
Okay, why our school fits. So our school has an open flat roof with lots of sun exposure, and this type of roof is ideal for solar panels because it's where they can get the most sun, really. And we are also eligible for a lot of grants and donations because we are a school. Like a lot of nonprofits and grants are willing to help out schools more than like private buildings. And Rockport schools are not protected by the historical board, so we wouldn't really have to like get permission from the historical board to add solar panels to our school. And switching to renewable energy sources like solar panels at a place like our school would make a big positive impact on the community and environment, especially because just it uses so much of the town's electricity and so many people use energy from there. And adding solar panels will also help the school financially because it will lower utility costs, and probably eventually it will pay for itself because we won't have to pay for utilities. Okay, so closing Q&A, we have 3 quick questions for you. Is this possible, and what should our next move be? We have reached you guys and now we are working to branch off. So what should our next move be?
I don't know if chairperson's looking since there, but I'll comment if she doesn't want to.
Go ahead, Ross.
So I would say, sit tight for now. I'll tomorrow I'll go, or this week I'll go into the town hall and see what other options are and see what options we have available. We have Green Community Task Force, we have DPW in general, but we'll look at the grants that are going to make it a lot more viable for the town. So that will be our next. I mean, obviously, any step you guys can take without us is going to be great, but for us to get involved and see how help you move the project along, we'll see what we can do and see if we can connect you up with in the town or other people that offer grants.
Thank you. Yeah. Who do you recommend that we can talk to for more information about costs, grants, and like installation, etc.?
Being right here off the top of my head, I'd have to go with Jerry, who you've already spoke to. He's going to be able to let you know the costs he went through. He's also on the Green Community Task Force. And if you can contact the former, can't remember, I think it was Nathaniel that had the last grant at the school, and see what he was looking at that time so we can get a better estimate. And
Nathaniel Kirby.
Yep. Obviously, we had issues in the first one. I mentioned that at the school committee meeting, but you can get hopefully costs from them, and obviously we'll be able to provide some information on that as well.
Yeah. It might also be helpful for you guys to reach out to Manchester, Essex, or other schools. And it would be interesting to know if they were like student initiatives like yours, or, who kind of made it happen, and maybe try to talk, go and interview those people and try to ask them. Schools, town buildings are kind of a lot different from people's houses. Recently, like on my house, we actually have solar for our hot water. We don't yet have solar for our electricity, but I recently got a quote, and I'd be happy to connect you guys with the guy that came and just gave me the quote. It was just a local solar company. So I would, I think as much as you can learn and just as many people you can talk to would be great, would be excellent. You guys are off to an awesome start. I will say that this spring, I was invited to the civics day, and I saw you guys there, and I got to hear about so many of the projects. And I was just like, I had no words for how cool and awesome all the projects are. Other kids have reached out to us. Somebody just reached out who wants to initiate student-led beach cleanups, and, lots of really cool stuff that, you guys are where it's at. Let me tell you. The future is bright. I literally left that, and then I got like a whole huge envelope of thank you notes that were so thoughtful and well written. I was like, the future is bright. We can feel good about what's coming next, because not only are you guys like smart and involved, but you really care about the town and the future. So we're lucky to have you. But I'll let any other select people that have a comment make a comment, obviously, but it may be best if kind of Ross is your connection to us, and we can all kind of communicate with him, but happy to help however we can.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Anyone else want to comment? Paul? You're muted.
Oh, good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Ladies, congratulations. That's quite an undertaking that you're doing. We just put solar in on our house about 4 months ago, and it's wonderful. And I think it's a great initiative. I was in Manchester when we put working as a school administrator, when we put the solar panels on, so I'm happy to speak to you. You can reach me by email, and my cell phone is on the website as well. But I'm happy to help in any way I can. I know Ross is going to help spearhead this with you. So, but if I can be of any assistance, have you spoke to anyone in the school department about this?
We haven't spoken much yet, other than the school committee. That was our main school group
Okay, no, good.
But
Yep.
we're going to try to reach out to one of the Rockport High School science teachers that might be able to help us kind of more with that perspective.
Is the green team still up and running at RHS?
I think the middle school one, it didn't have many members this year, especially because Mr. Alia wasn't running it anymore. It was like a new person. And so I think that was kind of failing this year. But I know that there was a couple CAP projects actually about helping that out. So I think it will be better next year. And also I think in the high school, there's more
involvement.
Yeah.
Good. Well, again, I'm happy to help in any way I can. And thank you for taking this initiative on. And I think it would be great for both schools to have solar, and there's not a lot of trees there. So it'd be really nice to have. So very impressive. And thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And ladies, excellent job with your presentation and the PowerPoint, everything. You guys, we need one of you to help with our tech from our, no offense, Monty, but the kids are quicker than you are. Okay, anything else? Herm?
Future select women.
Yeah, for sure.
3 of them.
Herm?
No, I would like to congratulate them as well. I mean, obviously, you put a lot of work into it. You're only freshmen. You have 3 years. You're a freshman now, I assume, ending this year. So you've got 3 years in high school now to, in a sense, push this forward.
We're incoming freshmen.
You're incoming freshmen. Then you have 4 years. That's even better. But by all means, tap anyone who has expertise in town. You already have a father there who has expertise. Go to your science teachers. They'll help you. And if there is a local organization that installs solar panels that would simply just come to talk with you about the relative costs, and you would then be able to do the math. associated with what it would cost. And then you come back to the town and say to the town, here's what we need as far as total cost is concerned. We'll do it over 4 years. We'll divide it by 4. But anyway, stick with it. You have a good start.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, ladies. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Have a
Thank-
great summer.
You
Thanks,
too.
you too.
Thank you, Jerry, for your support.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much
you.
so much.
Okay, moving on next, we have an interview with Ron Labar for the Finance Committee. Welcome, Ron. Thanks so much for your patience.
I'm not there. I'm off now. Yeah,
Now you're
no
off.
problem at all. Of course.
Great, thanks so much. Why don't we do exactly what we did with Carol? Do you mind just telling us a bit about yourself, how you ended up here? I know you've been to some Finance Committee meetings.
Right. Okay. Well, briefly, so you have my resume, but basically, my wife and I were looking for a place to settle down when we were living in France, and we ended up finding Rockport, and we bought for our first home 18 years ago here. So we've been in and out while we lived overseas, and then when I retired 11 years ago or so, we started splitting our time 50-50 Rockport and Houston, which is where we were living before we went overseas. We've now decided to sell Houston and to live here full time, and that changes the dynamics of whether or not we feel like we can and should participate in the town and try to help out. So the idea of the Finance Committee came up, and I think it might be a good fit. So that's why now versus any time in the last 11 years. So I'm a chemical engineer by education, but I went over on the business side early on. And so I have about 35 years of business experience, primarily selling, doing contract negotiations, doing all the financing, all the risk analysis to build plants that our company owned and operated literally everywhere in the world. I was for 10 years responsible for the global business unit for that. So I have a lot of project operations, finance experience that I hope I could contribute somehow, some way to the town through the Finance Committee. So that's my brief comments, and any questions I'm open to, of course. But I want to say one quick thing, solar. We're working on Bass Rocks Golf Club. I'm head of a subcommittee that is actually working on solar for Bass Rocks. And we're now at we've gone through the Finance Committee. We have approval, so we're now doing final bids on our solar system that we'd like to put in Bass Rocks. So I think everybody's doing it. So, and I'm happy to help. Sounds like there's a lot of help already there, but I'm happy to help if anybody wants to see what we're doing. So.
Awesome, fantastic,
Questions?
thank you. Questions from the board for Ron? Paul?
Yes. Thank you, Madam Chair. Ron, how did you find out about the opening on the Finance Committee, and what's intriguing you about it, other than you want to give back? Why the Finance Committee and not something else?
Well, actually, is because I got approached by my neighbor who's on the Finance Committee. So we've talked about it, and then I've met some of the committee members, and we've I'm open to anything. I was open to anything. It was the opportunity that arose that seemed to also fit my skill sets.
Sure. Well, thank you for stepping forward. I appreciate it. We appreciate it, I'm sure.
Awesome, other questions? Herb?
No, I also welcome you, Ron. Stepping forward, coming out of industry, or you're not retired yet, so you're not really out of industry. This is a secondary hobby for you, or is that not true?
No, I'm now finally out. If you consider Bass Rocks Golf Club as my primary my employment.
Well,
No,
you have a lot of time, and given your age, you have a lot of energy, potential energy to work in the sense for the benefit of the town. And your broad experience certainly is something that I find impressive. and hopefully you can pare down your expectations, but yet still be a driving force within town to accomplish what needs to be accomplished over the coming years, because there's a need for expertise in a technical way with regard to, as you say, solar, using new techniques for use of energy, creation of energy and use of energy in town. All of our buildings are different. And so you have a problem, if you will, or a challenge, if you will, to try to make soup out of this one way or another. So thank you for your willing to come forward.
Well, it's, interesting. Bass Rocks is a kind of an example of a non-private side. So we only invest in golf course things, but we've looked at this opportunity and we sold it on a, hey, look, we can be much greener than we are today, but there's a return on investment here. We're talking about a 12% after-tax return on investment over 15 years. It makes sense economically as well as green. So the club is in support of investing in something that's not a golf buggy or green or sand trap. So yeah, idea of looking at the economics of something, I think it can be important, not always, but can be important.
Ron, quick question. The number of panels that they're going to put on the golf course, this is random. Will they power the whole building?
No, because we have limits on what they call net metering. So we can only put in 25 kilowatts panels, which is one big maintenance building. And that's unfortunately only 12% of our power, but it's a step in the right direction. But that would be our maximum under state law to be exempt from net metering limits.
Yeah, got it.
So, okay.
Got it. Thanks. Yeah, no, I was just interested. Denise, did you have a question?
Yeah, my question was whether you were doing that metering or somehow installing a battery system. So you answered that.
And we're doing net metering, yeah, because it makes so much sense in Massachusetts. In Texas, you
any
only
other
get
questions for the board? I do see that Dwight Valentine, chairman of the finance committee, is here. Dwight, did you have anything to add to?
Well, I'd say that.
So hold on one sec, you're muted.
Okay. Am I open now?
I think Sarah's behind with the internet.
Hold on, it seems like I'm muted.
I can hear you.
No, you're not muted. Now you are.
All right. Well, Ron has, as you've said earlier, Sarah, Ron has been to several of our meetings. We've had some close discussion about process, about the differences between the broadly speaking, the corporate environment and local governance. But we're impressed with Ron's ability to focus, articulate, and be concise. And we think his skill set is portable and will be a big contribution in our deliberations.
Also,
I'm heartened to hear, Dwight, that you kind of oriented Ron to the difference between corporate and municipal finance and kind of how things work differently in the municipal world.
Well, we want him to stick around. So
I have a lot to learn.
We didn't want to frighten him, so we figured we might as well put it on the table. And I think, I think he got a good view. Well, I know he's been at other meetings before, but I know he got a good view of things this evening. And I think the way that he addressed the issue of transitioning skills from one environment to another is, in the way that he explained it, is indicative of how he's going to approach the problems that we all face. Right, Ron?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like Chairwoman Wilkinson lost connection. So if there's any other questions, board, if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Hold on.
Get that.
Oh, no, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Okay, hold on one second. I move that we nominate Ronald Labar to the Finance Committee for a term to expire on Mitch.
June 30th, 2024.
Thank you. June 30th, 2024.
And one edit, Selectman Donnelly, it should be appoint versus nominate.
I move that we appoint Ronald Labar to the Finance Committee for a term to expire on June 30th, 2024.
I'll
Do I have
second
a
that.
second? All right, and I see Chairwoman Wilkinson is here. Does she want to do the roll call vote? She might not be at the computer. All right, I'll do the roll call vote. Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya.
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. And I'll give Chairwoman Wilkinson a moment to get back.
I think she's having trouble with her internet connection.
Yeah, she just joined back in though, so I want to see if she.
Now she's
Back in.
muted.
She's muted. She's unmuted. No, she's muted.
All right, well, I think the next is the consent agenda, so we can move forward with that. It's approval of minutes, if any, 2023 license and permits approvals, year-end transfers, if any, seasonal position appointments, and acceptance of Comfort Dog Program donations. And I'll take a motion for that.
Yes, I have a motion to make. I move that the board approve all non-held items on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, roll call vote. Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. Next on the agenda, I am going to ask the motion reader for the 3-year appointments to make them individually, please, not as one full motion.
Okay.
We have the appointing for 3-year positions on committees. If the select person would like to make the motion, starting with, what is it? Affordable Housing Trust.
Sure. I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy. Affordable Housing Trust, Amy Beaton.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya.
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. Next up is for the Board of Health.
You want me to read the whole motion every time or just the names?
I think you have to do the original motion plus then the committee.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy, Board of Health, Ron Newman, Barbara McCarthy.
Do I have a
Second.
All right, any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye. Motion carries. All right, next is the Conservation Commission.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy, Conservation Commission, Nathaniel Mulcahy, Ashley Shedd. Further, that both are required to complete their Conservation Commissioner certification by January 1st, 2024.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right, any discussion? If not, I'll start. So obviously the Conservation Commission has been start up and running, and they've been getting, I think they're all caught up now, but there's just some concerns I've been seeing in the meeting. It feels sometimes they do go a little beyond their, I can't say, but they try to bring in certain things that aren't within the Wetlands Act. But the main thing I want to focus on is the treatment of the conservation agent. I feel that he gets ridiculed too much in the meetings publicly. He also, sometimes his advice just goes, it goes over and no one considers his advice. They just disregard it. He is the conservation agent and he has a lot of expertise in the area, as many of you know. He's been working on this for many years. So I just want to point those out as, why I feel different or discussion on these on the Conservation Commission, I feel that we should be treating the agent with a little more respect and as we move forward. That's all I wanted to say.
I guess if I may.
Yep, Selectwoman Donnelly.
Yeah, I've been to every meeting and I can see that members are really concerned and committed and work very hard. It's a lot of work, the Conservation Commission. It requires a lot of time and they have to do training. And I think it takes a long time to become adept at applying the laws and the regulations in addition to the bylaws. And I would just underscore that John Lopez, we're very lucky to have John as a conservation agent. He has 30 years of experience in doing exactly this. And I just would like to see the commission acknowledge his expertise and perhaps seek his expertise and rely upon it more often than they do. He, as I said, he's incredibly experienced, more than anybody on the commission. And this is not to undercut the efforts or the commitment of anyone on the commission, just to say that his level of experience is unmatched and he really does know what he's doing. And so I just would like to see the commission rely upon him more than they do now.
Any other discussion? Selectman Lilia?
Yes, I would like to echo what Selectwoman Donnelly has mentioned, and that has also been mentioned by Selectman Brackett. There is a tendency to defer to the chair of the committee when they should be deferring to the expertise that they have in the form of the agent. The agent does have the expertise that, in fact, the bulk of the expertise for the decision-making process. Both Mr. Mulcahy and Ms. Shedd should in fact recognize that fact and defer to the agent and not to the chair. So I'm really just emphasizing what others have said already, but as can be seen right here, neither of them are completed their process of training, let alone years of experience. So enough said. I hope they follow these heartfelt thoughts for now from 3 of the members of the select board.
All right. And with no more, I'll do a roll call vote. Selectman Murphy?
Aye.
Selectman Lilia?
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly?
Aye.
And Selectman Brackett votes nay. Motion carries 3-1. Next up is Council on Aging.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for the terms ending June 30th, 2026, all subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy. Council on Aging, Shirley Conway, Nancy Pittman, Jennifer Perry.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion here? Seeing none, roll call vote. Selectman Murphy?
Aye.
Selectman Lilia?
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly?
Aye.
And Chairwoman Wilkinson, did you hear the motion?
I did, but
All right.
you finished this round of stuff.
And
Thanks.
Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. All right, next up is Cultural Council.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy. Cultural Council, Sue Ellen Wedmore, William Waller.
Do I
I'll
have a
second that.
All right. Roll call vote if there's no discussion. Seeing none, Selectman Murphy?
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson?
Aye.
Selectman Lilia?
Aye.
And Selectwoman Donnelly?
Aye.
Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. Next up is Finance Committee.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the board's committees, commissions, membership policy. Finance Committee, Dwight Valentine, Heath Ritchie.
And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. Next up is Historical Commission.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the boards, committees, commissions, membership policy. Historical Commission, Ken Kaiser.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. Next up is Rights of Way Committee.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the boards, committees, commissions, membership policy. Historical Commission, Ken Kaiser.
Rights of Way.
Oh, I'm sorry. Rights of Way, Monica Lawton, Teresa Rizzolo.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya.
Aye.
And Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. And last for this one is Board of Registrars.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30, 2026, all subject to the boards, committees, commissions, membership policy, Board of Registrars, Maureen Dwinell.
Right, do I have a second?
Yes, second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Selectwoman Wilkinson,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Loya,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectman Brackett votes aye, motion carries. And I think you're up, Chairwoman Wilkinson,
Oh,
for the next part.
great. I apologize, my audio froze, so I could see everybody talking, but I couldn't, so I had to completely restart my computer. Okay, first we are on the second motion of 1-year appointments. And,
Selectman Lilia has his hand up.
okay, Selectman Lilia.
Yes, I'd like to make a recommendation that we reappoint the remaining individuals in block vote.
Yes, that's how it would be if there's no objections. Barring no
Great.
objection, all right. That was my plan. I just obviously wanted to have a discussion for the 3-year appointment, so that's why I objected to those ones.
Got it.
But seeing there's no objection, I'll make a motion if you're ready, Mrs. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
I move that the board make the following reappointments for terms ending June 30th, 2024, all subject to boards, committees, commissions, membership policy. Historical Commission alternate, Paul Woodbury. MAPC Representative Tom Meekis, Action Representative Roger Lesh, Board of Fire Engineers, Mark Watson, Douglas Anderson, Nathan Ives, DPW Facility Building Committee, Monica Lawton, Angel Soul, Ruth George, Elder Affair Coordinator, Mary Fountain, Emergency Management Director, John Horvath, Forest Fire Warden, Michael Frontero, Granite Pear Committee, John Thompson, George Katropoulos, Kathy Carson, Michael Tupper, Greg Morrell, Memorial Day Parade Committee, Darlene Trumbore, Kendra Daigle, Gail Zeman, Elvira Fuccini, Millbrook Meadow Committee, Laura Hallowell, Dara Cole, Dwight Valentine, Samuel Colborn, Richard Oregon, Ellen Ligden, Open Space and Recreation Committee, Lawrence Neal, Stephanie Cunningham, Samuel Cunningham, Thatcher and Straightsmith Island Town Committee, Sydney Wedmore, Michael Crestrini, Patty Wigman, Gail Zeman, Robert Kraus, Richard Morris, Paul Cena, George Langer, Lee Marr, Peter Haskell, Town Art Committee, Dorothy Marshall, Rosemary Perella, Monica Lawton, Karen Berger, Ryan McMullen, Traffic and Parking Committee, James Ugoni, Nancy Kearns, Zoning Board of Appeals Associate, Richard York, Aaron O'Connell, Laura Nielsen, and did I miss one? Nope, that's it.
Great, motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
and Selectwoman Wilkinson. Aye, the motion carries. And if Ross didn't say it at the beginning, just an enormous thanks to everyone who steps up and puts their time in. This town could not run without all of you. So thank you so much. Great. Moving on, we have consider approval of the Unitarian Universalist Church thrift store off premises sign. Is someone here? Oh, there you go. Hi, is that Susan Moran? I'm gonna put my glasses on. Great. Good evening. Thanks for your patience tonight. Oh, she's muted, Monty.
It says UU Society of Rockport.
Yeah. There you go. You should be good now.
Hi there. Thank you so much. We didn't know that we needed a permit, so that's my first apology. And secondly, I don't know why someone put it in the crosswalk. I promise that won't happen again.
Brief and to the point. Any comments, questions from the board? No. Is there a motion? I'm personally fine with it as long as it doesn't go in the crosswalk
Or
Absolutely. I have
obstruct.
a motion.
or obstruct the road, obviously.
Yeah, no. We're trying not to break any laws.
Is there a motion?
Yes, Madam Chairwoman, I move that the board approve the off-premise sign permit for the Unitarian Universalist Church thrift store as submitted on the permit application with requirements that it is not to be placed so as to impede vehicles or pedestrians or associated lines of sight.
Great. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Further discussion from the board?
No.
No. All good? Okay.
All righty. Thank you so much.
Hold on. We haven't voted yet.
This is the fun part.
This is where you really hold your, okay, Selectman Brackett,
Aye.
Selectman Murphy,
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly,
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson, aye. Got that thing back out there. Thank you so much. Nice to see you. Okay, moving on. Board of Selectmen, Town Administrator updates, finance update. Mitch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fiscal year ends this Friday. We are diligently plugging away at it. Most of the finance staff is still here in the building now, plugging away, trying to make sure that everything is squared away for the end of year. We've been heavily focused on that for the last couple of weeks and will continue to be as we wrap up over the next 2 weeks and next week when we start up the new fiscal year. So a lot of time and attention focused to that. And we'll continue to do so for the next couple of weeks to ensure that everything wraps up smoothly as it has in previous years. We are diligently working on that. DPW and those who are responsible for capital projects are preparing for their kickoffs next week. Many of them have already lined up contracts, agreements, documents, plans that they need to get going. So we are anxiously looking forward to those starting off next week, as well as fresh budget numbers for all of the departments. That is pretty much where we are in the finance end right now. It's all focus on year-end close to make sure that we continue to be in good shape. And then next week, starting out the new fiscal year, making sure everything carries over as it needs to, and things of that nature.
Great. Thanks so much, Mitch. Any updates from board members?
I do, Madam Chair. I as the board is aware, I did send a letter to all of them for review. If town administrator is able to pull that up, I would like him to do so. If there's any edits or advisors, or if anyone supports it, but I've already made a couple edits myself. When Mitch brings it up, I'll let everyone know.
Yeah. So Ross, I guess I guess my comment, I emailed you, but you might not have gotten it. I guess my comment is I'm happy for us to discuss, I think we need to discuss town composting.
Mhm.
I'm not comfortable like telling an organization that they have to compost privately.
I'm just, well, to my point, as many of you know, we already tell businesses and town themselves, we do have a plastic bylaw in place. They do have a private trash disposing company, so they could, as many businesses do have a composting company that does lower the price of the overall weight of the cost for their monthly bills. And I've changed my letter to just say, please consider, and stuff like that, instead of urging them or telling them to do it. So it's not really a tell, it's more of an ask. As I may have mentioned in the email, myself and Mr. Murphy, when we were campaigning, these were a big request we got from many of the residents that said they weren't being heard from the company themselves, that when they're asking their property manager at those facilities, they weren't really, it wasn't getting through to them, and they weren't getting the composting they were asking for. So that's the only reason I thought I would step in and request it from.
Yeah,
Arborlights
I'm
themselves.
just not sure if that's total. I totally get it 100%. I'm just not sure if it's appropriate, if it's like an appropriate place for us to step in, like with a, I don't know. I just haven't, you just sent it to us right before the meeting. So I just haven't like totally thought it through.
Yeah.
Just the best way to like, would it be better to have Harbor Light into, to invite Andrew into a meeting and talk to him about it?
I mean, that would be great too, but that would require
Yeah.
us to do a lot more research on the matter, opposed to him being able to, we can't recommend companies. Obviously, there's very well-known companies around here that he could easily contact. I'm just looking for, I just wanted the board support to sign it. Either way, I will be reaching out to ask him to do it, as the residents did request that from me. So I was just hoping to get the board support on the matter as well.
Yeah.
Well,
Go ahead, Denise.
yeah, I mean, I obviously support composting. I've been using Black Earth for years. But I would rather have us have a broader discussion with the DPW commissioners about offering town-wide composting. And then I think we'd be in a better position to request an organization like Harbor Light to do the same.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Again, on the matter, it's just now they have a third property coming up that they're going to be managing. So we're able to start the process now. And as I mentioned, they don't use the town's transfer station. They do have, I believe it's Hills that pick up their trash. They do have their own garbage. So they're not going to be using the town's composting regardless. And the process for us will be a lot longer to get town-wide composting. As you know, we did pass at the recent town meeting to have the transfer station reevaluated for safety measures and other measures, but composting wasn't even mentioned in that. Obviously, that's something I want to mention to the DPW when the time comes, but this is a relatively, to me, it's a small ask for a company to go to composting, as I do know it does lower costs overall. As food waste is a big weight component to trash pickup when it comes time.
So, yeah, so I guess what I'm thinking is, I'm just not sure it's like appropriate or legal for us to tell them to do that. I'm honestly,
we're just asking, that's all. I'm not telling them they have to. I'm not, this is coming from our residents that aren't getting heard from the property managements. And I mean, if you wanted to call on Andrew for that, I would, those are the points I'd bring up to him, that his employee isn't getting the message across to him, or responding back,
Frankly, I may be more comfortable doing that, or one of us reaching out to him, just so it doesn't look like it's I feel like I don't know, I'm just not totally I feel like I'd be better off with that and saying, listen, we have residents in one property, you're opening up a third property,
I'll just expand on the matter. As a business owner, as many people know, I'll expand on the matter. A few years ago, you asked all town businesses that had takeout to, you required us, you didn't even ask us, you required us to have a trash barrel outside of our businesses. So that's, that's more strict than just requesting that they have composting in their facility. It may not have came from the Board of Health, but it did come from, the Board of Selectmen, but it did come from the Board of Health. And
Yeah,
they-
but you guys didn't have to pay for the trash to be removed from the,
Well, it was our barrel. I paid $300 for a barrel. Then I got turned around and told the town, said, you already have a barrel out front from the town. You don't have to worry about it. So, I mean, I'm just saying it was a requirement to businesses. And at the time I got many complaints from the businesses.
right, but it was for all down, like, I guess what I'm feeling uncomfortable about is like singling out Harbor Light. I feel like I would rather find ways to encourage composting and like how, hey, Andrew, like what would, I'm just feeling, I don't know, it feels like it's coming at it in a negative way. I'd rather look at it as a way to like encourage really good behavior, which is kind of why I want to look at the town composting again.
And then I would also, that if you look at it that way, I would request that the town goes ahead and the town property that we do own for multifamily business buildings that we do rent out, we offer composting at those facilities then, but as I stated.
Yeah, so I mean, that's what I mean. I think it's a little bigger discussion. That's what I think this like is owed like an agenda item where we can discuss like, hey, if we're gonna ask Harbor Light, like who else should we be asking? How can we be encouraging? And I know at our meeting on the 11th, we're going to talk to the Board of Health and we're going to talk about the plastics bylaw. And I know this is part of it. I don't know, maybe it makes sense for you to send us your new draft separately, us to look at it and then to discuss it at that next meeting. Just because I want to feel like we're like taking a holistic view of it.
Yeah.
And the goal, I would assume, is twofold. To hear residents who don't feel like to help residents who don't feel like they're heard, but also to increase composting. So I think we can probably, get both of those. I just want to think of it a little bit broader.
Yeah. I mean, my again, like I said, my biggest point is for the town to do composting, it's going to be a lot larger endeavor than them, based on the size, probably getting 1 or 2 barrels from a composting company that will go sit next to their already Hiltz containers.
Yeah. What if we put it on the next meeting agenda? You send
that's
us
fine.
your new draft and one of us can reach out to Andrew in the meantime.
Yeah, but before we do that, if there's any request or any anything that anyone wanted to add, I'd take that now so we can do it in a public forum. If not, I will get my edits and send it back out.
Yeah.
So,
Does everyone
sound good to
want
me?
to see Ross's edits? Okay, yeah. So resend it to us with your edits. Obviously not for discussion, but we can discuss it and screen share it at the next meeting.
Alrighty.
Perfect. That sounds great. It's cool. It's really cool that the residents brought it up to you guys at a campaign event.
Yep.
Like that's a neat, that's cool that like they thought to do that.
Yeah, Rockport apartments, there's a big discussion there.
Yeah, that's really cool that they thought of it. So happy to help. Cool.
During many campaign events, Ross, right?
Ross, did you have any other updates?
I think that should do it for now.
Anyone else? Paul?
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you. Just want to remind folks that the 4th of July is coming up on Tuesday and Rockport will be packed as it usually is. I'd like to encourage one of my favorite events is the reading of the Declaration of Independence at 10 o'clock down in Dock Square by Matt Wegman, the Reverend Matt Wegman. So I hope people will join. I hope the town is packed. I think last time I talked with the association, the fire association, they had like 4 or 5 bands, lots of floats. When I was a kid, there used to be neighborhood floats and so forth, and as times have changed, they've dwindled away. But my understanding is there's going to be a number of floats that will make the parade even better. So again, I hope everyone has a safe 4th of July. I know the DPW will be out, the police will be out in force, and I'm sure it's going to be a wonderful time.
Great, thanks, Paul. Just to add on to that, I know Toby had requested at the last meeting fundraising information for the Rockport Firefighters Association, and I believe it is PO Box 2, Rockport, Mass. If people want to send donations, and I followed up with the fireworks. Donations for the fireworks in August can be sent to Rockport Illumination Fund Incorporated, and it's 16-B South Street. If people are interested in sending donations to those, I think it's a good time of year that both organizations are looking for donations. Looking forward to both of those events, obviously, just next week. I can't believe it's the 4th of July. It's so cold out. And Denise, did you have any?
We're
other-
not marching in the parade, correct?
Nope.
No.
But to watch this one, you could have your own float, Paul.
I got enough tomatoes and eggs.
I don't know how well that would go over.
No, it would be good. I always did it when I was a kid. I just wanted to, I had one other update. I think that's it for right now. I think that's it. Next, we'll go to public comment. If I remember my comment, I'll make it after. But moving on to public comment. Does anyone, I see a few hands up.
Laura, you've been unmuted.
Thank you, Laura Evans at 77 High Street. I wanted to thank you folks for reappointing Nathaniel Mulcahy and Ashley Shedd to the Concom. They're very, very good commission members, and I've learned a lot from them, and I think they add a lot to the town. I feel like I'm kind of in an alternate universe, though, about the agent, because I've been to all the Concom meetings, and they seem mostly quite civil, and we rely on John a lot. I mean, his expertise is very valuable, and he, I wish he was available for more Concom work, that he could come on more site visits with us, and I think he's a great agent, and I think everybody, the chair regularly defers to him during meetings. So I want everyone to know that, he is very, very much appreciated. And I'll sing the admin assistant song again. I think he really needs a part-time paid admin assistant. I mean, for the last meeting, I spent some hours typing up an order of conditions and amending, and I'm a volunteer, and that's a legal document. I mean, we really should have, as a town, a paid assistant for our agent. And I know that this is somehow coupled with the Board of Health person, but the job's not posted, and I think we really need to support him, because I do find that he's very valuable. And secondly, on the back on the affordable housing front, I'm really hoping that Chairman Lilia, chairman of the Affordable Housing Trust, will look at get some of those ARPA funds for the trust to fund the trust. There's $2.1 million there. And while waiting for next year's CPC application deadline, there's money there for affordable housing. So I wanted to thank Selectman Lilia for leading the charge on that, and hopefully securing some of the ARPA funds for affordable housing. Thank you very much.
Selectwoman Donnelly, did you?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify a few things. First of all, I've spoken to John Lopez, our conservation agent, as recently as last week. He is doing just fine with respect to support. He gets plenty of support from Nancy Pittman in the building inspector's office. And as Laura knows, the reason we have not yet hired the part-time assistant is because he will share that assistant with the health director and the Board of Health. And we have not yet hired a health director. We want to give the health director the opportunity to participate in the hiring decision. So I check in with John regularly as the liaison, and he reassures me that he's fine with respect to support. I do appreciate Laura's concern, but he's doing just fine.
Denise, just one correction. It's Nancy Kearns.
I mean, Nancy Kearns.
Yeah.
You know who I meant.
I know what you meant.
Sorry.
Great. Monty next.
Toby.
Thank you. Toby Arsenian, 95 Granite Street. I was distressed and offended by the discussion about reappointments to the Conservation Commission. The Conservation Commission may have 30 years of experience, but he's relatively new on the ground here. And his experience and knowledge are certainly a fine asset for the commission, and We have the assurance of Laura Evans that the commission avails themselves of his experience. It's not up to him to make the decisions or dictate them. Your board employs a town administrator who has a degree in government, but it's up to the 5 of you and no one else to make the decisions. You were elected, you appointed the members of the Conservation Commission, and it's up to them to make the decisions. It's properly up to the agent to let them know about all of the intricacies and obscurities of state law, which are indeed endless and depthless, also the local bylaw. But they're the ones who have to go out and see on the ground and make the decisions on the basis of what they see with his good advice. You need both. And he has only been here recently, and some of them have been here for many years and consequently know things of a different sort that would also be essential. So I feel that criticizing the commission for thinking for themselves is heading in the wrong direction. You need the expertise of the agent, and you also need the independent minds of the commissioners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nathaniel, you've been unmuted.
Thank you very much. First off, I'd like to thank the committee, the select board, for reappointing me. It has been an honor to serve for 8 months on this commission. It has been invigorating, and it's been helpful for me to feel that I can provide my decades of environmental policy and science to this community that has become my home. I'd like to just clarify a couple points that I think were misrepresenting the actuality of things. If you go back and look at the old meetings and compare those recordings to the current meetings, it is a stark contrast between how confrontational the earlier meetings were and how this year they have been completely civil, and the discussion levels have become more in-depth and involved. The community feels that they are being listened to. In terms of Agent Lopez, we have all deferred to him. Mr. Brackett, I've seen your name on multiple meetings, so you know that our chairperson has deferred to him every single meeting when there was an issue that needed clarification. We have relied on him heavily. We appreciate his expertise, and we rely on him and what he knows. We are going through the training, in contrast to the comments made by Mr. Leah. I've got only 1 2-hour session left of the thing, and I had 12 months to do that, and I've only been in for 8 months. So I think I'm doing pretty well considering the timeline, and it was not possible to do all of it because the courses were not available within the 8 months of my appointment. So given that I have 12 months to do that from the letter that I signed with my original appointment, I am well on way to meeting that requirement, which is a requirement that I note no other committee in town has to do any formal training. And this is a new thing that our committee does, and we do it willingly and happily. We are the only committee that seems to be getting criticized in this evening's reappointment thing. And then in terms of deferring to the final decisions, as Mr. Brackett seemed to imply, we had questions about this, and we did contact the state, and they did say, specifically citing the Wetlands Act, that the final legal decision is of the committee, and we can rely on the agent for advice and for guidance, but the final determinations and the decisions that must be made and are legally binding are done by the committee, and that is Massachusetts state law. So we do rely heavily on John. He's a great asset, and I'm happy to pop in and visit him frequently in his office. But we are following the rules that our training has told us we must follow. So thank you for the appointment. Thank you to everybody else who's serving with me. And finally, I would like to encourage the select board to remember that we still have 2 vacancies. There've been times when I've never missed a meeting, and I've attended meetings even when I was sick or when my children were sick, for fear that there wouldn't be a quorum. And it would be really helpful if those 2 vacancies were actively recruited and appointed, so that we would have our full committee finally, and people wouldn't have to attend when they are sick or when their children are sick. Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
Just for the public, for the record, I never stated that the agent should be making the decisions. I never stated that the commission never listens to him or anything like that. I said sometimes his advice and everything gets completely disregarded. That was my only, well, not my only comment, but that was the comment that focused on the agent, as well as sometimes he gets ridiculed in the meetings. That is all.
Denise?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that, Nathaniel, the Conservation Commission, unlike other boards and commissions, is a regulatory body. And that's why the training is required. And that's why I said it takes many, many years of experience for people really to be able to exercise appropriately within a commission. And it's not to say that you guys aren't doing that. What I was saying was that because it is a regulatory body, John is the person who has the most experience in applying Wetlands Protection Act in Massachusetts. And so your engineering experience and your other experience is all relevant, but you are not, as a member of the Conservation Commission, allowed to use that experience in making your decisions. So the other thing I will say is the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions is an advocacy group. They are not the state. The Department of Environmental Protection is the state, not the advocacy group. So there are some distinctions I just wanted to make. I know you are all working very hard, and I certainly appreciate that. I see it every meeting. They tend to go quite long, and they're getting a little bit better, but still going quite long. And I just think there's a lot to be learned from John, and I hope to continue to see that happen.
Great. Okay. It looks like Ashley has her hand up. Monty?
Yeah. Hi, this is Ashley. Thank you for reappointing me to the commission. I do have a little bit of an issue with feeling like, people are being called out publicly, or like almost humiliated in a way to bring up and address issues that are completely unrelated to an appointment or reappointment to a commission. It seems that there's a lot of things that come up in meetings across the town, this one included, that are kind of nuanced and not relevant to what is actually being discussed. And I just think that if anything, everyone needs to be appreciated for the amount of time and effort that they are putting into all of the meetings that they volunteer with. Chairman Selectman Lilia, commenting on the fact that Nathaniel and I haven't, completed our MACC training, and we were given a deadline of next year to do so. It seems just kind of immature and childish. And if we want the tone towards John Lopez, the commission, the Conservation Commission agent, to change, I think maybe it needs to start here. You are representing the town as well. And I feel slighted. Thank you.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Sure. And then her, yeah, Denise go, and then her.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm sorry that you felt that way, Ashley. That was certainly not my intent. And I have said multiple times as I've spoken that I appreciate how hard everybody works. I know it's a lot of work, and it's a work in progress. It's an ongoing process. So I hope that you and Nathaniel and others are able to take these comments to heart. We are by law required to conduct these conversations in public. And so sometimes it gets maybe a little bit awkward, but we're doing what we're required to do by the open meeting law. So nothing was intended to humiliate or belittle anyone. So just wanted to say that.
Herb?
My point was not that, well, my point was that you had not completed your training and therefore you were not fully equipped to handle the entire decision-making process. I think that the comments for Selectwoman Donnelly were right to the point. We are concerned about the composition of the committee and maintaining the composition, maintaining the strength of the committee. Yes, we need additional people to join. We need a committee that people are willing to join. There are some people who are not willing to join because of some past situations. It is up to the committee as it is currently composed to that environment should be welcoming to new individuals. I think that's the point. And again, the application of previous engineering experience to a situation in town with regard to a conservation commission, I think is misplaced. But anyway, be that as it may we go on, and that our new agent will in fact stay with us for a long period of time. We certainly don't want to see him leave, despite what people have said about the fact that he is comfortable, as has been said already. So anyway, just listen to the words. They're not intended to demean anyone in particular. They're simply reminders of the overall responsibility that you have to the town, not just to your personal points of view.
If I may, Madam Chair.
Yeah, I'll let Denise go and then
Okay.
Ross, then I think we need to wrap it up.
Yeah, I was just going to say with respect to new members, I know that, for example, the Finance Committee, the Historical Commission, they do a good job of recruiting people to their ranks. If you can perhaps try to do the same, the members of the commission who are on the meeting tonight, you know, I'm constantly looking for people and inviting people to join the Conservation Commission. So I'd appreciate any help that you can offer. But I know that other committees do a lot of work trying to recruit people. So need your help with that.
Yeah, so I just want to say, you know, as childish and immature some conversations may be, they do have to happen, and for us, they do have to happen in public. So I apologize if it offends anyone, but I do have to inform my colleagues of my thoughts and processes in public. I can't do that in a meeting to have an open discussion with them. You know, as was pointed out, I do attend many of the meetings and I do talk to the agent on a regular basis. And tonight I didn't name any names, so I wasn't targeting anyone. So thank you.
Okay. Any other public comments this evening? Okay, hearing none. Our next meeting is the 11th. I think that's correct. And on the 11th, we will do we'll do the selectmen's business in the first half of the meeting. Second half will be a joint meeting with the Board of Health. And I believe we have 3 kind of topics to discuss with them. We'll send out, obviously, will be on the posted agenda before then. But besides that, have a wonderful and safe 4th of July, and we will see everyone soon.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Ready?
Thank you.
Are we going to move to adjourn?
Oh, I'm sorry. We need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Selectman Brackett.
Aye.
Selectman Lilia.
Aye.
Selectman Murphy.
Aye.
Selectwoman Donnelly.
Aye.
Selectwoman Wilkinson. Aye. The motion carries. See everybody soon.
Okay. Good night, everyone.